The Programme National d'Efficacité Énergétique (PNEE) is underway. Its objective is to assist local companies to be more energy efficient by creating an ecosystem. In the middle term, savings in energy can potentially reach 1.2 billion rupees annually, representing a decrease in consumption of 40 megawatts on the local grid. Finally, our country at large will benefit from the PNEE program, which will have a positive impact on the environment. After carrying out projects for large energy consumers, the PNEE have set up a specific program for small and medium enterprises through this pilot project. The challenge is to identify the demands and opportunities of this sector in regards to energy efficiency. 11 companies responded positively to the PNEE PME project call for applications launched in January 2018. The energy bill of these 11 companies represents 9.5 million rupees per year, of which more than 80% is allocated to electricity consumption alone.
We have the opportunity to look at our energy consumption, which today represents 36% of our cost of operation, and to identify the following. Are there opportunities for savings in terms of performance with regards to the equipment that we have installed, or are there also other alternatives that might have been considered?
Our store, situated at the 20 Pied Road in Grand Bay, is a 300 square meter store. We noticed that the cost of electricity is huge compared to our operation costs. For our restaurants, consumption of electricity and gas is about 9–10% of all our expenses. If we compare this with our monthly income, it represents about 5–6%.
Business Mauritius has recruited a consultancy company which has already conducted energy diagnostics in Mauritius, namely on electrical systems, air conditioning, and the usage of heat. The participant will then benefit from an energy audit financed up to 60% by Switch Africa Green. Auditors start with an investigation phase to measure and monitor the energy consumption. The analysis of the reports, as well as the discussions with the staff of these companies, make it possible to build the audit report.
We have installed sensors on the electrical networks of the site, which allowed us to collect data instantly and also to save data on the cloud system.
Now we are able at a relatively low cost to analyze, follow, to track the major consumers in the company and study the behavioral patterns. They came for an audit of the electrical installation, identifying the weakness, of which being overconsumption, and to recommend solutions as well as proposals for the medium and short term. There were a lot of bad practices along with some leniency, of which we have now been made conscious of. We made recommendations on matters such as lighting, the air conditioning system and the cooling system. During the auditing, they tried to classify our store into areas of consumption in order to see how we can save money per sector.
The handing over of the report is accompanied by a group training session.
And what came out of this training is that the lessons learned on one site are often very relevant for others.
These consultants were very accessible to answer questions, so as to identify the solutions that are feasible in the future.
It is also a means to be aware of the best practices that are taken into account by other companies, of which we can thereafter adopt in our two restaurants. The various proposed improvements, the approach would have allowed them to be more open to the concept of energy management.
The individual sessions have helped companies to use the report as an educational tool and to prepare an action plan.
We reviewed all the measures proposed on each site, and so it was the opportunity to explain in detail the technical basis of our approach. It was very interesting for us being able to ask questions directly. It's good to have a report, but its interpretation often requires an in-depth understanding, and we've had clearer answers for the implementation of this report.
First of all, according to the direct outcome, which the audit advises or recommends, but also in comparison within the framework of our own training to understand what measures can be taken directly.
We did not have a good reading of the monthly electricity bill. So after this exercise, we can now understand the bill correctly and identify the peaks, and from there on, do the fine-tuning.
Following the PNEE PME, the short-term yields will be around 11% with a return on investment over less than 3 years. In the long run, savings can be as high as 35%.
So we can count on an annual savings of over 200,000 rupees with fairly simple and low-cost recommendations. On the other hand, we will be able to save more than 350,000 up to 450,000 rupees per year with a slightly heavier investment.
This is just the beginning. This audit report allows us to plan for the short, medium and long terms according to our objectives.
And this gives me hope that we are on the move, where companies are opening up to energy efficiency concepts with the improvements to be brought about, and that of which are going to be implemented quickly.